Um, so yeah, I've been, kind of aware of the fact that it's important to not give and give and give and not, fill up your cup. And it's interesting because I have this sort of like workaholic tendency where I just work a lot and do. And so I've been, kind of trying to create more space for just downtime for myself, which is really important. So it's a lesson I'm working on, to not, um, feel like I have to do all the time, but just be and slow down. And, it's been really wonderful to watch people in this whole awakening process and to hold space for people as we all start to, break so many patterns and make different choices that are for our highest good. Um, you know, it's not easy, right? It's not easy to do this. But it's such a blessing to be able to support people in doing that. And if next week I'm actually doing a 5-day hypnotherapy training where I'll be learning how to teach people to become hypnotherapists, which I'm really excited about. And so stay tuned for that because I'll be offering a hypnotherapy certification training. But anyway, so at this retreat, the sound healing was just, a gong bath, just gongs everywhere. I shared a few pictures of it. And then there was a didgeridoo that this other man was playing, and he would bring the didgeridoo like right up to our ears. And at first, it was a little alarming at first because I was like, wow, this is right there. And then there was a woman who was going around and putting her hands on us, and she doing these beautiful chants, and it was like this multi-dimensional experience that, especially with the didgeridoo, I felt like I was traveling into other realms and through portals, and really it was like Pleiadian energy, and Pleiadians are multi-dimensional beings. They show up as blue light, the seven sisters, the Pleiades, like really high vibration, really healing. And it's funny because when I do meditations, I spend so much time in the Akashic records picking up on stuff. I was in the sound healing. I was like, okay, what's going to come in? What's happening here? And I kept trying to like see what was coming in, but it was very apparent to me that I was not meant to pick up on anything, that I was just meant to just kind of experience, be in the moment. Um, and it was strange because I was like, oh, I'm just supposed to be. I'm not supposed to do or see anything or hear anything, but just kind of receive this vibration. And then, at the end, so there was all kinds of things happening. There was a gongs, there was a didgeridoo, there was the this woman's voice, and it was like all this immersive sort of experience. And then at the end, the gentleman who was the leader, his name's Jim, he's this awesome guy, playing the gongs. He just kind of stopped playing all the different gongs and he just was playing some chimes, just like they almost look like wind chimes, but they're not lined up in a row. And so he the chimes, like, just very sort of simple, just a simple tone, nothing else. And then it was silence. It was just silence. And that was when it got really cool. So I was, surprised by how much was happening in the silence. It was almost just like there was it's even hard to explain. I wrote an email about this, but it's hard to put into words when you're in a state of silence and there's actually no thought. And that's the thing that we all kind of aspire to in meditation, to try to get to that place of no thought. And when we're in that space of no thought, that's when these pretty cool things can happen. That's really when we're able to connect with source, with God, with the sense of being at one with everything. And we've all had those, blips of that sort of experience. But this just dawned on me right now as I'm saying it, that what I believe was happening was all this sound vibration was kind of preparing me and preparing all of us for this moment of just being at one, being in that sort of space of no thought. And, it's said that, in meditation, between each breath is when there's a pause, between each breath, between each thought, there's this kind of moment of nothing that's happening. But that's when we can connect with the source, with this oneness. And, really, part of being human is to be in a state of separation. And when we choose to incarnate in a human body, we're automatically in a state of separation. We, this is something I picked up on and channeled and have, believe that we are pieces of this light. And what is this light, right? It's, from the Big Bang, or the beginning of everything was really just there's this, the seed of life is really just a circle, right? And then that circle wants to know itself, or that piece wants to know itself, wants to experience itself. So then it replicates and it becomes, another seed. And then and then it becomes like the flower of life. And then it keeps expanding and expanding. And as it continues to expand, it takes form, and then the pieces of that light become a human soul, and then the human soul because it begins to go into a human body. But once we get into this human body, we're in this dense physical form, and so we're just remotely plugged in to that source. And it's through this state of separation that we learn to become one once again. Actually, today I did a reading for somebody in the Akashic Records, and something that came up was that this client, I won't share her name with you, but this is actually a metaphor that's come up before, is the concept of, this, that she had chosen to incarnate in a physical body to experience separation, like a rubber band stretching, and it stretches out until it gets to the furthest point before it breaks. And that's where, she had felt really separated and suffering, a lot of, heaviness, pain. But then the rubber band begins to contract, and we begin to become back in, getting closer to source. And I think a lot of us can identify with that because we go through that experience in our lives. Many of us have felt, really disconnected. In fact, there are still humans out there who are extremely disconnected. But it's through the process of living, the older we get, especially now in this massive age of awakening, we are remembering who we are, and we're coming, like the rubber band's coming back in as we begin connecting more and more with source. And so it's, instead of, a thought or a image or even anything, it's just a feeling of being connected. It's like a feeling of being held, of being a part of. And when you think about it, it would make sense that when we are in that state of oneness and connection with all that is, we wouldn't have really individual thought, because there is no thought. When you're at one with everything, like, we wouldn't know ourselves as being separate because we are at one. And, it's like, if we were separate, we would have sort of consciousness and think of ourselves as an individual. But when when we go back into that oneness, then there isn't that individual thought anymore. Am I making sense? I don't even make sense to myself. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And being able to kind of drop into that, it's kind of like a drop of water doesn't always know that it's part of the ocean, because it's just a drop of water. It's just focused on it being a drop of water. But every so often it has maybe that glimpse of the fact that it is the ocean, that the drop of water is also the ocean. And so it's like zooming out. So that's, what I experienced. And I think I've been experiencing more and more. And it was interesting in the meditation. I was able to pick up on a few words, and those two words in not the meditation, the silence, really, I guess it was a meditation at the end of the sound healing, was I am. And, some of us have heard those words before when we talk about source or creator or God, the I am presence. And, what I think that meant to me was, I have to actually think about it now because I don't really know what it means. But when I try to conceptualize it with my human mind, it's like I am a part of this larger I. The small I is also the bigger I. And, it's kind of like when you think of those words, I am, it's like there's nothing coming after it. It's just I am because I am, like I exist. And there's nothing beyond that. It's not like I am, a lizard or I am water or I am a rock. It's just I am. And just being is really like the purpose of the source. Of course, there's love, there's infinite love. But it was interesting in that moment, I wasn't, of course, I mean, it is love, but I wasn't necessarily feeling the energy of just love, but just presence, if that makes sense, and connection and just kind of awe and wonder. And so anyway, yeah, it's something that I think all of us that sort of experience would strive to in a certain extent, to a certain extent. And that's really what we're doing in these human bodies, is moving through lessons, breaking patterns, and to ultimately return to the source and be in that state of oneness. And, ascended masters like Jesus, like Yogananda, like Mother Mary, like Buddha, have become enlightened, and they've kind of done that. They've gone through their human lessons, and they can become one with source again. And they come back here, in energetic form, sometimes incarnating, I guess, to help us do the same. So, which we definitely need. So anyway, let's do a meditation to connect with that oneness. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Before I do that, I'll just share a few things that are coming up. I mentioned a hypnotherapy class, but I haven't actually posted this yet, but I'm doing an intuitive development class, a 5-week online class starting in early May. It's a pay from the heart class. It's just pay what you want, pay what you feel. And, blocks, some of us, a lot of us have blocks to connecting with this source, to remembering who we are. And so that will be a lot about clearing some of those blocks and learning how to open the third eye, learning how to read the Akashic records, learning more about forms of spirit and how to quiet the mind, meditation. And so that, let me just say real quick, meditation is the number one way to really do this, right? Just the more we meditate, the more we quiet our minds and let go of thought, the more we can come into this oneness. So let's do that now. It's not going to be too long, but we'll just see what happens. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer. All right, so you can close your eyes. And just take some deep cleansing breaths. Inhaling, slowly exhaling. Bringing in fresh oxygen, cleansing out the stale stuff in the lungs and the body. It's always good to hold at the top of every inhale to bring in more air, to get a real diaphragmatic breath, slowly exhaling it out. Doing that 3 times if you haven't already. And then just allow yourself to drop into a natural rhythm of breathing. And continue to drop in a little more into your body through your awareness. And as you do that, just imagine what is down in my body as you drop in below the heart into the power center. It's also called the Dantian area in Qigong, the center of gravity. What would it feel like to come into alignment and into balance with your very essence? Just meditating on that and allowing yourself through your breath to be guided deeper into that curiosity. What would it be like? As you continue to breathe, just imagine your breath is like a breeze that's sweeping away, wiping away, blowing away thought. And the thoughts come back. And so it's like writing that keeps appearing, like this magical writing on a chalkboard, and continually it just gets erased over and over again, erasing what's in the mind until the writing doesn't no longer comes back and it's just blank. And there's no judgment, there's no trying to evaluate or interpret or understand, but just being as much as you can with the no thought, with the no, with the space, the openness, like looking at a clear blue sky or up at a starry, starry night sky, sense of wonder. See if you can sink into that feeling through some of these metaphorical images through the next few breaths. And the smaller self, the ego self, will try to vie for your attention. It'll do things to try to get you to continue to pay attention to it, to distract you. And just acknowledge it like a little mosquito buzzing around, harmless one that doesn't bite. And just swipe it away. It's meaningless. It's just there. And then eventually gives up. And you can come back and connect with the space between the thoughts, with the moment of pause between the inhale and the exhale, just taking some time to drop in over and over into this space. Sinking into it, going deeper and deeper into the vastness, into the oneness. The breath is like a tether, it's like a rope. If you start to wander off, the mind starts to wander like a balloon that's trying to float away. Just imagining the breath is there to kind of bring that balloon back down. Just continually doing that, bringing that balloon back down. Bringing your mind into alignment. Your breath becoming like a gentle breeze rippling across a still pond. Belly's expanding and deflating. Lungs filling and emptying with air. You're in your body. You are so much more than your body. Yeah, your body is a gift, a vessel for the expansion of consciousness and the awareness that you are the I am, that you are. And just thinking those words, I am, I am, I am. Just feeling your heart and all your energy centers just opening and allowing in this greater sense of knowing and awareness. And taking a moment to just consciously remember to imprint this feeling of oneness, of connection, of I am presence with all that is that you are a part of, that you dropped into, even if it was just for a split second, maybe it was for many seconds. Knowing this will continue to grow and expand the more you take time to quiet your mind, and the more you expand your consciousness in various ways, firing up more and more parts of the brain to allow for that remembrance and that knowing that you are one with the Creator, that you are a piece of that source that is within you, that you are God, that God is you. Beginning to just come back into your body a little bit more, stretching out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And if you'd like to come to gratitude with hands in prayer position or over your heart or in your lap, you can do that. What a blessing it is to be alive, to be in human form in this time, and to be in this remembrance of oneness. And for this, we give deep thanks. So it is. So you can inhale and exhale and begin to come back into your body, stretching out. And then whenever you want, you can open your eyes. Right. Well, I hope that was helpful for those of you here. And if you want to share, type in a little comment about what that was like for you. I always love hearing that. It's so interesting to me how we all continue to grow and evolve. And, of course, I love angels, I love spirit guides, I love ascended masters, and I'll continue to connect with them. But more and more, I feel just this desire to just go straight to source, right? Straight to God, straight to the oneness, because it really is, who we are. And when we remember that, if we could get in this feeling more and more, we would just become, it's like a flow. We become part of this flow, and more this will seep over into other areas of our life, bringing in peace, bringing in contentment and acceptance, and moving through our triggers, right? And moving you know, moving into our higher self. So I think, that's the 5D way, right? That's what we're all learning how to do. It's just really a blessing to be alive. And it's a blessing for me to be able to support you all in this. And I appreciate, as always, your listening and your just your openness. So thank you. Yes, posting about the class. Yes, Joyce, it's on my website right now. I haven't like publicized it yet. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll just put it in the chat. But yeah, I just haven't, I've been so busy. I haven't gotten around to like really publicizing it, but I've just been, talking about it here and there with people. So but yeah, if you want to just, sign up or check it out, at least, whatever. Here's the link. It's under my calendar. And so you just, go there and you can see it. So nice to see you all. Thanks for being here, and many blessings. Have a good night. Bye.